Hello and welcome back. Today is going to be part 3 of these floating cherry shelves. I already cut off camera, cut them down to the size that I needed. I was able to measure in the field and find out what I needed. I end up needing about 18 and 7/8, 18 and 15/16. So I cut them down to 19 inches, and when I'm in the field I will scribe them to fit in so I don't have any type of open voids and whatnot. Right now I have the table saw set up for a dado along the sides. Here is our dado blade. Nice big stacked dado. I have it 13/16 wide, and it's going to end up being a total of 7/8 deep, but right now it's just a rough setting because I'm going to be taking 2 passes. What we're going to be doing is this right here, cutting this dado or channel into the side of every one of these shelves over here. We are also going to do it along the back edge so the back is supported as well, and then back down this edge right here. This is the cutoffs of what was these when they were longer. And the reason I'm doing this dado is these boards right here are going to be mounted on the wall, and then the shelf will end up sliding in like that. So if you imagine this being on the wall, this board being screwed to the studs on the wall, and this shelf just sliding over, that's gonna be how it is actually floating. These boards I just happen to have. Later on I'm going to mill them down just a little so it's not a completely snug fit. I want it just a little bit looser because I need deviations in the wall and whatnot. But I'm going to set up a time lapse for dadoing these sides. I can do 3 edges at once. I'm going to do a couple cuts at a time, so I'll do like, I don't know, three settings for the depth. 1 at 1/4, 1 at 3/4, or 1 at 1/2, maybe 1 at 7/8, something like that. And then I'll have to set this fence up on the other side and have it run through. Oh yeah, while I'm right here, I'm not actually running the dado completely through. I have it, it's called a stop dado. It does not go through the face edge of it because you do not want to see the channel on the face of the shelf. If it went through the face, it would end up looking like the back, which would be a little weird. Some people might like the look of seeing the attachment method, but not on this time. Alright, gonna set up that time lapse. Okay, there we have it. We have the dados on 3 edges of each and every shelf. Now what I didn't explain before is, let's get a better view over here. I off-centered the dado. So on this side up here, it's slightly over 3/8 of an inch thick, and then down here is about 3/16 of an inch. I did it offset because there's no need to have extra meat on bottom because it's not going to be holding anything. I wanted the extra meat on top just for extra strength and whatnot. I have no worries about these ever failing, but might as well just give a little extra strength up there. Through that last time lapse, I don't know if you noticed at all, but I stopped and sanded the fence a couple times because I had some tiny little nicks and burrs over age that I never noticed about that were dragging across the face. Let's see if we can get in here. That line right there was just from dragging across the burrs on the fence. So I have a couple of them. Here's another. This one's a little more. That's a little deeper, but these will all sand out, so I'm not worried about it. Now, what I'm on to next is I'm going to set up an 1/8 inch round over bit and round over this top edge and this bottom edge on each of the three, and then after that I'm going to sand. Alright, so I have the 1/8 inch round over on there. Now I'm going to set up the sander, and like I said before, I will sand out those grooves. There's it right there. I'm going to sand out all these grooves, and then I'm going to finish sand these because all that's left for these is finish sand, stain, and seal. Alright, so I'll set all that up and you're going to watch part of that. Okay, so I sanded all three of the shelves, top and bottom. Now you can see that there's no gouged lines in it anymore, so I sanded that off with the 5-inch sander, or no, sorry, 6-inch sander. It has a dual mode, so it's grind and polish. That's why you saw me go over it multiple times. Now I have a 5-inch sander that is a handheld, and it's palm actuated if I turn it on. But I'm going to go over this edge with. It's a lot easier to maneuver. Here you go. I'm going to do one regular time, and then the others are going to be time-lapsed. Where can I set this up? Yeah, right there. Alright, so that's all it takes. A nice light quick pass with 80 grit. Now I'm going to go to 120 grit right here. That's it for 120. Now I'm going to dig out the 220, which I forgot to grab. So that is our edge. You can't really tell in the video, but that is nice and smooth. Sand it to 220. Now all I have to do is the faces and the backs of all the rest of them in 220. I'm not going to bother recording that because it's just going to be monotony going through all that sandpaper coat after pass after pass on all three of these. All right, I will get back to you as soon as I'm ready to start staining. Here we are. I sanded all three of these to 220. I started off with 80 grit, then 100 grit, 120 grit, 180 grit, and then 220 grit. Now I am ready to stain. I am using, or reluctantly so, I like natural wood, but I am using a dark reddish brown stain and sealer for these because the client wants them to be a dark color. So I'm going to go through that, and a couple of key things is when you're rubbing it on, you want to try and stay consistently going with the grain direction of the wood. Don't want to make too many puddles. You want to try and get all of the inside areas in here sealed up because you don't want any exposed wood that can absorb moisture at different rates. And then after you have it all on there, you actually take a clean rag and wipe it off so there's no built up residue or excessive amounts of puddling in it. Alrighty. Here is the first one. I have these on like painter's pyramids, so there's very little contact when I go to flip them over. I actually have the face down right now. I'm going to start with the back side because when I flip it over, I don't want those painter's pyramids under there leaving little dimples on the face. But on the underside, it'll be very, very hard to find them, if at all. I'm just dipping my rag in the stain, and like I said, trying to go with the direction of the wood. Oh, this is it's a nice color, but it kind of goes against what I like. I like natural stain. I just like the natural color of the wood. But I can't argue with this one. This is a nice color. I'm going to set this up. So for rags, you can use lint-free rags and buy them, or I go through t-shirts and work shirts like No Tomorrow, so I just end up using old, torn up t-shirts. It works out great because there's surprisingly a lot of material in a t-shirt, and also gets a second life out of it. Why pay for rags when you already have the material? Okay, now it's going to be a little more difficult. Got to get inside of this area. Like I said, you want to seal up everything as possible. I might just have to do that side flipped over. Yeah, I'm gonna. I can get at this one better. The end grain really absorbs the stain because it's just like open straws. It wants to suck it in, which is a good thing because you want it to seal it. If you didn't seal it, then any type of moisture in the bathroom could potentially get absorbed into this and cause it to warp or bow, or worst case scenario, rot. We don't want that because in a bathroom there's a lot of moisture. Alright, so, I don't know, I forgot the back. I was gonna say I'm ready to wipe it off, but I'm not. Having chubby fingers doesn't really help. Can't get my fingers in here with the rag. Just trying to stuff the rag in there. There. Now I'm ready to just take my other rag like I said, it's just an old t-shirt, but this one I'm using to wipe off the stain, so it's much more consistent and even across the whole thing. And then inside, wipe off everything in here. And I can show you what it looks like. It is a little difficult to get in there, but I got it all sealed. There. Now to flip it over and do the other side. I really should be doing this with gloves because the stain ends up sticking on your hands for about a day or two, but I didn't have any gloves in the shop. Not really harmful to your skin, I don't believe, but it does make it look like you have dirty hands for a couple days. Which I'm kind of used to because I kind of always have hands that look dirty. You don't want to spread it too thin like I was just doing, because then you actually kind of lose some of the color if you start spreading it too thin. Another thing is, if you really want a darker color, you can leave this on just like this. About 5, maybe 10 minutes, and it'll soak in and give you a little bit of a darker color than if you were to wipe it off immediately. These clients, they don't want a really dark color, so we're not going to be leaving it on long. It's just going to be put on, take off. You do want to do this in a well-ventilated area. I have the garage door behind me closed, but I have the windows in the shop open because it does make an odor. You wouldn't necessarily want to do this inside in a bedroom or bathroom or something because, again, it's a confined area. It's going to make an odor and some people can get a little sick from it. But like I said, I have the windows open. I don't have the garage door open because I don't want dust coming in from lawn mowing outside or anything else going on outside, because dust sticking on this will stick on it forever. All right, there is the first one. That is what it's going to look like. Well, there you have it. We have our 3 solid cherry floating shelves, all stained, sealed, and ready to go. I'm lucky because this product is a stain and a sealer, so it does not have a glossy finish, and it's a one-step process. Done deal. Looking forward to installing these possibly tomorrow, maybe the next day. I might get a video of that, but I'm not sure. At very least, you'll have to go to my Facebook page or my web page and get finished pictures of the actual bathroom. Oh yeah, you guys haven't seen that yet. Maybe if I can figure out how to post those pictures, the progress pictures in this video, I will. Alright, have a good day. On to the next project.